In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make this rose. So I have my 2 colors of yarn, scissors, and my instructions right here. So the first instruction is to chain 16. So you start with a slip knot, and then to chain 16, you just reach in, pull the yarn through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then it says single crochet in 5th chain. So you count 1, 2, here I'll hold it a little closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna try to go in through both sides, do a single crochet, lift it up, bring it through both. That makes a tiny little loop right there. And then the next thing is to do a chain and then single crochet times 11. So I'm gonna speed it up for that. So now, because I've had 1 chain between each of the single crochets, I have kind of a ruffly bit. That's because there's roughly twice as many stitches now than I originally cast on. So next up, I need to chain 2, so that's 1, 2, and then make 4 double crochets in the chain of the previous row. So this is the first single crochet, and then the chain is just between the 2 single crochets you see there. So I'm going to make 4 double crochets in that space. So a double crochet, you put the yarn over once, you put it in there, and then pull it through. Then you're going to bring the yarn through the first 2 loops and then through the next 2 loops. So you do that 4 times. So that was once. So 1, 2, okay, that's 3, and 4. Okay, next step is to chain 1 and then go into the next chain. So 5 double crochets in the next chain. So the 2 I chained right here counts pretty much as one of the double crochets. So this will look like 5 double crochets, and then I'll have 4 more sets with 5 double crochets. All right, so I'm going to do that with a time lapse. So I've now made 5 little petals with 5 double crochets in each chain space. So next, I'm going to make 7 larger petals, which is 6 triple crochets in the next 6 spaces, and then another 6 triple crochet in this loop we made at the beginning. So here we go. I'll do the first petal and then time lapse for the next 6. So, all right, so you wrap it around twice for a triple crochet. You put it in, bring it up, and then you do 1, 2, and 3. All right, and then you're going to do that 5 more times. So 1 in there, up, and bring it through the first 2, second 2, last 2. So you'll notice with the triple crochet, at least with the American spelling, I guess, you wrap it around twice and then you do 3 sets. 1, 2, 3 sets of pulls. All right, so we have 3 of those, and then 1, 2, 3. All right, and then we're going to do another 1, 2, 3. Let's see, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'll do a chain and I'll do the next 6. Now made 5 little petals and 6 big petals, so it looks like this whole big mumbo jumbo, and it now is starting to look like a beautiful rose. So because I'm going to change the color for the outer side, I stopped before I did the 6th triple crochet in the last loop. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I wrap around twice and go in there, bring it up, 1, 2, there we go. Now before I complete that stitch, I'm going to switch my color right away. I'm gonna leave a little tail, which I'll sew in later, and I go in like that. So that is actually how you complete a stitch and change colors. I learned that, seriously, I learned that 2 days ago from a really cool video that I linked to in the Google Classroom. So, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna chain 1, and I stopped writing instructions at this point because it's a little bit more complex. So what we're gonna do is do a single crochet. So that means you go through the V that you see, the first V with the white yarn, and lift it up, bring it through. And then we're gonna do a chain, just like on our first row where we do 1 single crochet and 1 chain. So, and this is just to kind of give it a little more bloom, you know, give the flower a little more bloom. So we're gonna go into all of these, all of the tops of the triple crochets. And then what we're gonna do next might surprise you. I mean, it's a fun little effect that is not nearly as advanced as it looks. I mean, most crochet is, once you get past what's a single crochet and what's a double crochet, you're good to go. So the next thing we're going to do is, see this single crochet between the 2 petals? We're gonna dip in there, pick up the yarn from behind and pull it nice and taut. And we're gonna complete that single crochet. Now we're going to keep going on the next petal, so, and the same way. So chain, single crochet. I'll probably do a time lapse after the second one just so you can see a little closer how I do the thing between the 2 petals, so, and I find it's really pretty to just have a little pop of a different color. So that's why I sent you all different, smaller than entire skein balls. All right, of yarn. Here we go, one more, and into this one. And then we go in, we look for that single crochet. It's a little, this stitch is a little tighter than the one before it. So I'll just kind of go in there, pull it through. Yeah, that one's less perfect, but they don't have to be completely perfect. So you just go in. I'll do the rest as a time lapse and show you. I've done the 7 larger petals, and now I'm moving on to the 5 smaller petals that will be in the center. So the only difference between the smaller petals and the larger is that there are 5 stitches on each of the smaller petals. So same deal, you go 1, chain 1, then a second, and you chain 1. You do the third, you chain 1, 4th, you chain 1, and then you do the 5th. And you don't do a chain 1 between the 5th and the long stitch. So now that we're getting closer to the center, we want the long stitch to go all the way down. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna find this yarn that's way at the bottom and pull the yarn through there. Here we go. And then we continue. There you go. Alright, so now I've done all of the petals, and now I'm at the top of the center petal. So this is the one that's going to be right in the middle. And as you can see, I actually continued some single crochets into the very center. So I'll show you how to do that. I will chain 1, and then for the rest of these, I'll just do a few stitches into the chain that I made at the beginning of that stitch. And I'm not even going to do it into the individual pieces. I'm just gonna do a few along the space between the chain and the stitches. And there we go. And I'm gonna go into the very bottom. Here we go, like that. Pull it through. And then I'm going to cut it like this. A lot of people want to know how do you finish crochet, and it's super simple. You just bring it and then bring it all the way through, and there you have a knot. Now, the flower itself is not finished, obviously. So I'm going to cut this thread. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier, but just because I was so in the zone. We're gonna tie these two together, and we'll eventually sew them into the work. That's not totally necessary at the moment. Right now we're going to focus on sewing the flower together. So you make the flower all together. You just kind of twist it like a spiral. And you're gonna use this last piece of thread and thread it through your trusty tapestry needle. And then you thread it, and you're going to try your best to go through all of the layers. And if you want to just kind of adjust it so the flower is a little fluffier. So you go through the top layer and go through each side. Maybe bring this through. There you go. Oh, that is so pretty. I got a very enthusiastic 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old in the background. All right, you go up like that. And we're just gonna continue to go back and forth until it seems secure. There we go. All right, and I feel like it would be nice to get it into more pieces of the center. So I like the yellow, so I'm gonna kind of use the yellow to combine it. Try to go from the yellow to the yellow. Kind of, there we go. And there we go. Now here we go. So all these we can sew in loosely so no one can see, but another thing you can do, actually I will just do this right now. I'm going to go straight from here. Oh, here's another trick I learned from YouTube. So to thread a needle, you hold it over the needle and then you pop it through. Oh my gosh, what a cool trick. All right, then I'm gonna sew this back petal to another petal. Oh. And this is a very short thread right here. I cut it a little bit too short maybe, but it's all right. So I go like that, and here we go. There we go. And I'm going to also sew this one in. The trick is, you know, when you're making a flower, most of the time you're going to be sewing the flower onto something. So it's good to have at least one strand that comes out of the back center of the flower. So here we go. We have several that'll come through the back center. This is, I want this a little closer to the others. So you know what? I'm just gonna use my crochet hook, which is easier than the needle when it's this short, and bring it through. There we go. So here's your beautiful flower. And what you can do, if you have a net or something, you want to install the flower, you can just use these tails and tie them at the back, and that'll fasten it. And then you can do some more detailed sewing.